Okay, so hi, I'm Alex, and today I'm going to be talking about the last section that I read of The Sun is Also a Star. So this is going to be pages 300 to page 344, so the last 44 pages of the book. So I obviously have read the whole book by now, and this is just going to be a review of the last section of this book, along with just my thoughts and opinions about the book in general. So let's get started. So this section starts off with Natasha finding out that she's not going to be able to stay in the United States. She's going to have to get deported, and she's upset at first, but then she kind of gets over it a little bit, and she's like, oh, I have to go home. And Daniel's like, well, let me come home and meet your parents. And then obviously they keep on doing the questions that they've been doing throughout the book. And we also get to see one of the side characters, that how Nicola Yoon in this book, she does some side characters and how they have impacted the lives of the main characters. And we learn that Natasha wasn't able to be allowed to stay in the United States because the lawyer didn't go to meet the judge. So it wasn't a fact, the matter of she couldn't, it was just that he just didn't go to the meeting for his own personal reasons that were discussed in the book. So we learn about that. And then we also see Natasha and Daniel obviously go to Natasha's house. And their parents there kind of have a revelation about things. They don't mend everything, but they kind of take steps forward in terms of the relationship. Natasha's parents they argue and they fight while they're there. As a result of Natasha bringing Daniel home, it starts a fight, which ends up just being between Natasha, her dad, and the mom. And it kind of solved some things. It got some things out into the air, and it was kind of like a mending of the fences, if you would, kind of argument, where they mend fences, and they all hug at the end, and they realize that they have to be together as they're being deported. So within the last couple pages of the book, Daniel goes with her to the airport. They finally do the weird staring thing that was mentioned in the scientific study that Daniel had brought up. So yeah, and then the book ends. So the book's final pages are of Natasha. She's obviously in Jamaica now, and it talks about her life, the life of her parents, and what has happened. So Natasha has become like a research person. She studied in college, and her mom sadly got sick while they were there, and she died, and her father realized that he hadn't made a mistake in marrying her. So he kind of had a revelation there. And then Daniel, he went on, he studied literature in college. He didn't end up going to Yale, and he became some sort of literary person. Let's look at this. Let's see. Well, he becomes some sort of literary person. Let's see. Peter, Natasha's brother, makes friends in Jamaica, and he fell in love. He has a child. Natasha's dad moved to Montego Bay, and he starts a community theater, and where is it? This is gonna bug me. Oh, he works... He writes small, sad poems now. And so at the end, we hear from Irene. And remember, Irene is from the beginning of the book. She was the weird lady who made Natasha late for her meeting. And kind of throughout the book, we've learned about Irene and how she impacted Natasha's life and how Natasha saved hers. And we learned that Irene became a flight attendant because she's always wanted to fly. And so she became a flight attendant, and on a flight, she saw Natasha and she went over to thank her because Natasha, you know, had saved her life. And Daniel is also on the same plane, like a row ahead. And so they finally meet up again after like 10 years, and that's where the book ends. So after that quick summary, which wasn't really that quick, but after my summary, so my opinion on the book, I originally tried to read it a couple of years ago and I didn't really like it. I was younger. I didn't really like it. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought it was just going to be about a girl who was about to get deported. Okay, and so I didn't really like it, and I came back, and I went to try to read it again. Wasn't my favorite book, not my kind of book. I don't enjoy books where characters are extremely cheesy, or they're so set in their ways that they don't look at others' points of views. So, like, I love a good romance book, or like romantic comedy, but I found Natasha to be very annoying, and Daniel to also be very annoying throughout the whole book. Natasha kept flipping sides on things. Like, she expressed herself as a true realist, you know? She wouldn't believe in, like, fate or destiny or any of that. But when it came to her getting deported, she was literally getting deported in 4 hours. And this girl still believed. She was like, no, we're not getting deported. Haven't packed. It's not happening. Not gonna happen. So I felt she was very contradictory. And also the character development, I just thought it wasn't my kind of book. The characters annoyed me a lot. So yeah. And also, I've read some of Nicola Yoon's books before. I read Everything, and I found that her endings, just for me personally, tend to be underwhelming. Like, the ending for this book, they just meet up again and then it ends. And I don't like endings where it's like, oh, you get to pick the ending, you get to imagine what's gonna happen. I don't really like that. So, it doesn't bug me, but it doesn't, like, fulfill an ending for me. It's kind of like, oh, she just cut it off. You know, she's like, oh, they meet again, but you'll never know what happened to them. And while I know that the intention of that ending is supposed to be like, I, the reader, you know, gets to come up and say, oh, well, this could happen. It's supposed to provoke thought. But I feel like it's the author's story. It's their vision of what happens. And so I would want to hear what, you know, Nicola Yoon's vision of how it ends, like what happens. And so, yeah. So those are my thoughts on the final 44 pages of the book. The sun is also a star. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this. Yeah, so just to sum this up, yay, bye.